Eamon, we've talked about Joshua Fury, but there is some action going on a lot soon. I mean, this might not even happen, but there is a fight going on a lot sooner that is in the diary, and that's for Easter Sunday of all time, and you're going to be there. Just tell us, are you looking forward to it, first of all? And what was your take on the first fight between Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker?
I thought you meant this might not even happen, going on the controversy of the 10 rounds, 12 rounds, and that whole thing not being settled
Right.
yet.
Well, yeah, that too.
That as well. Look, very much looking forward to it, and it feels like boxing in Birmingham is gaining momentum, and this is another big fight on top of the fights that they've had before to build back a region which hasn't had the big fights. And you'll probably be able to tell more about this than I can, Danny. A region which I guess would it be fair to say that Birmingham was a bit of a hotbed back in the day for boxing?
Yeah, at its moments, yeah.
Yeah, well, those moments have been few and far between in this generation and past prior in the UK of having big fights. I think the last one in Birmingham was probably an Amir Khan comeback fight against, was it Samuel Vargas?
Samuel
Maybe?
Vargas, yeah.
Yeah, that was the last big fight. This feels like, and Ben Whittaker feels like someone who can really ride that aggressive wave right now of talent and a bit of desire to see boxing back in this region. I thought the first fight was a good fight. I thought Ben Whittaker was going to win that fight on points. I thought that Ben, although he was up against it, it wasn't quite the picture that's been painted of him kind of drowning under the pressure. And I thought he was well within the fight. It was sure he was maybe tiring a bit, but Liam Cameron wasn't exactly not tiring himself. I think Liam is someone who, in hindsight, looking at that fight, you would kind of question the matchmaking from Ben Whittaker's side, because Liam would have seen that sort of style countless amount of times mirrored, imitated, mimicked through fighters coming up in the gyms in that region of Sheffield, and done a lot better with respect or differently to Ben Whittaker because of the ones that had come from the past in the ilk of Naz and Harold Graham. And that's a little bit of kryptonite in that sort of style. And Ben wasn't able to find the answers on the night. The bit where it came to the over the top rope moment, difficult to say. I've heard a lot more people when I've had this discussion with people in the industry say that he was looking for a way out, and it's hard to describe or know when you're not in those shoes, and you've got to take someone for their word at that moment. Really, it seemed like when I saw it that there was genuine impact and genuine force in the impact, and there is a bit of confusion as to what was actually hurt, whether it was an ankle, whether it was thigh leading up to the back and neck and things, and a lot of reasons were given. Interestingly, if you were looking for a reason from Ben Whittaker as a certain clarification of what it was, Johnny Nelson asked it in The Gloves Are Off on Sky Sports, and Ben trivialized it. He didn't want to give him an answer, and you're not going to get an answer to that in terms of what was the reason as to why he can continue. You're going to get an answer as to if Ben Whittaker is good enough this weekend on Sunday against Liam Cameron. I think Cameron's raring for it. I think Whittaker has made the change with the trainer to Andy Lee. Don't know if that'll pay dividends just yet. I don't want to say that the training or the trainer was the problem, but there's been whispers about Ben Whittaker's application to training, which has been a problem. So if those have been rectified and Ben Whittaker's full focus is on this, then he can make a real fist of it, because this was a guy who, boxer, had picked up a Peacock deal. He'd resonated with fans. He'd built up a load of momentum with his flashy clips and the slow down clips of him dodging punches, and everyone loved it. And Shaq and all those sorts of mad high profile figures in the US were congratulating and wanted to see bits of him. And for all intents and purposes, it seemed like the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted on Ben Whittaker making a US debut. And then he he drew to Liam Cameron, didn't win against Liam Cameron, and that was suddenly pulled, and the Peacock deal gets pulled as well, almost coincidental, right? But yeah, look, he's got a lot to prove here. I think he will prove it over 10 rounds. I think he'll win on points against Liam in a real good fight. But after this, I think what the team will end up doing is slowing Ben down, because I think they'll take the Joshua Buatsi route to boxing, which is taking those opportunities but at a slower pace, taking the right opponents and waiting for the picture to materialize until they find themselves in a fight where they have to kind of take it, because it seems like the pace that they were pushing him for wasn't suited for him. So once they slow things down, I think Ben will be much better suited, and we'll find out just how good he is, because there is definitely something there with Ben, but he's just got to cultivate it and become that, because he isn't it right now.
Craig the Monkman says, I'm hoping Liam just smothers him and knocks the arrogance out of him. I'm not sure he's allowed to smother him to win the fight. MB says, why do boxer now want to make it 10 rounds? That is very telling. I mean, Whittaker does look in exceptional shape in the recent photos I've seen, but, you know, his conditioning clearly was a bit of an issue going towards the second half of that fight. Cloud Strife says, what happens to Whittaker if he loses again? I mean, it's going to be very hard to come back from, especially having just changed trainers, because you need a rationale why he's failing and why it won't keep happening. And if you've already kind of jettisoned the trainer, what's the next thing? Maybe going up in weight or something like that. I'm not sure, but it'd be a huge blow both to Whittaker and to Boxer, I guess. Big Boy Garm says, Whittaker is finished. All the laughing and joking has disappeared. The kid is scared. He hasn't got the engine or the grit. Wayne Bullard, time doesn't pass so quick at all, waiting for real fights. The people want it. Feels like 4 times the time. Cole W says, I think Whittaker will school Cameron in this next fight. Whittaker has a new trainer and seems to be taking this fight more seriously than previously. Wayne Bullard again says, you can't replicate Prince Naz. That's what Ben Whittaker trying to do. I mean, he wouldn't be the first, let's be honest. Eddie Hills, is Ben stuck between weights? Is big for the weight and doesn't hit hard enough? He'd get ruined at cruiserweight. I mean, it is the biggest jump, isn't it, in weights in boxing at the moment between light heavyweight and cruiserweight. It has been for a while. Big Dosser says it wasn't a loss. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. If you're talking about Fury Usyk, it was. CMP Russell CMP says go on Liam. Yeah, I mean, I think Liam Cameron probably won't give Whittaker the same level of trouble that he gave him the first time round, simply because Whittaker knows what to expect now, not only from Cameron, but maybe some of his own flaws or areas that he needs to work on. So I think he'll come in improved, and he'll also come in more ready for what Cameron throws at him. Whether Whittaker can raise his game enough to get a result beyond doubt, I don't know. This whole thing about schooling him. I mean, Liam Cameron was a pretty decent amateur in his own right, ABA champion and so on. And he'll be hugely motivated because this is a career-changing fight for him. I mean, the first one was he feels there was an injustice there. So he'll be highly motivated to come in and put things in his mind right. But I do fancy Whittaker. I do fancy his class to show. I think if you look for a lot of the former amateur stars that have eventually got to the top, they all have these kind of question marks around them earlier on in their careers. There was a lot about James DeGale, I remember, before, was it Paul Smith that he stopped? And then that kind of quieted a few of those people down. Joshua, not so much. He was relatively untroubled, apart from Dillian White before winning that world title. But a lot of the former amateur stars do go for a wobble as they're still adjusting to the pro game. A lot of them change trainers as well, because until not that long ago, you weren't able to train with your amateur coach as a pro. That changed now. So I fancy Whittaker to come out on top. I don't think it'll be easy by any means, but I think he will be a non-controversial victor. But Gary Shaw disagrees. He says, Whittaker ain't got the power for me. Big Boy Garm says, no way has Ben magically obtained the stamina required for this grueling fight. Cameron knows his flaws, can see the kid is beatable. We shall see. Easter Sunday, Boxer, Sky Sports. We're all looking forward to it. Eamon will, of course, be ringside. So he was probably looking forward to it more than we are. But yeah, so that'll be a great one. Now,